It is now time for the Robesonian Sports Report with Chris Styles on 97.1 FM, 1340 AM, WAGR in Lumberton, covering sports for Robeson County. Now here's your host, Chris Styles.
And a good Thursday morning to you here on the Robesonian Sports Report on WAGR. I'm your host, Chris Styles, sports editor at the Robesonian, here for a 30-minute show to talk about local sports here in Robeson County. And I'm going to get started with looking back at some of the things that have gone on the last few days. And then later on in the show, going to look ahead to the girls basketball season. Haven't had really the chance to preview high school girls basketball here on the show just yet, so we're going to do that. We'll have Jaymar Thompson, head girls coach at St. Paul's, joining us as well here in just a bit. But looking back over some high school basketball from Tuesday night locally, St. Paul's boys earned a 64-23 win over Douglas Byrd. Tyson Thompson scored 17 points, the reigning defensive player of the year in Robeson County, who is the leading scorer for the Bulldogs so far this season. Ja'Kai Purcell had 14 points, and Jordan Cook had 10 for the Bulldogs. Cape Fear beat the Red Springs boys 61-48. And Hoggard beat the Purnell Sweat boys 66-26. Tough matchup for Purnell to open up the season in Wilmington. Colin Sampson led the way with 8 points there. On the girls' side, St. Paul's earned a 78-55 win over Douglas Byrd on Tuesday night. Deshaunte Harris scored 23 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, and 7 steals. Quite the stat line for her. Zariana Shipman has come on strong here to start the season. Transfer from Whiteville into St. Paul's. She had 20 points and 4 assists in that game. And then freshman Ava Monroe had 13 points and 7 steals for the Bulldogs. Cape Fear girls beat Red Springs 68-8. Tough matchup for Red Springs against the reigning United 8 Conference champions, regular season and tournament last year for the Colts. And then Hoggard girls beat Purnell Sweat 67-26. First game of kind of a new, fresh start for Purnell Sweat, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But Bree Brewington had 9 points, and Nia Locklear had 7 for the Rams in that one. UNCP basketball, their season in full swing as well. The Braves men defeated Virginia State 70-68 on a Jawan Carr layup at the buzzer on Saturday, and then beat Columbus State on Sunday 66-51. The Braves are 5-3 to start the season, through a pretty tough stretch, in fact, to start the campaign. The defensive effort and rebounding hallmarks of the program have kind of been hit and miss. Coach Drew Richards even calling it a Jekyll and Hyde team at times, but put together their best full game yet, I think, on Sunday, and that included a 13-point first half by Columbus State, the Braves holding them very much at bay in the first half. And 5 players scored 9 points or more, with no one scoring more than 11 on Sunday for UNCP. So a very balanced scoring effort. Lumberton's own Tyreek McCollum making his second college start at 9 points in that game. Nigel Verdere was named Conference Carolina's Defensive Player of the Week. He averaged 11 points and 10 rebounds over 3 games in the last week for UNCP, including a 12-rebound performance in that game on Sunday. He's got 4 double-doubles on the season. And the Braves open conference play Saturday against Southern Wesleyan. UNCP, of course, the 2-time defending regular season champs of Conference Carolinas. The Lady Braves had a 58-51 loss on Sunday to Lenore-Ryan. This game was tied at halftime. Then Lenore-Ryan built a lead in the third quarter, and UNCP made a late comeback bid, but it fell just short. Kelsey Adams had 14 points in this game and was named the team's internal player of the week. Zaria Clark had 14 points and 9 rebounds. Kalea Halls played at a high level all year for UNCP, and she had 8 points, I believe it was, in this game. And Natalie Evington, Purnell Sweat alum, who's getting some pretty decent minutes as a freshman for UNCP. She had 6 points in this game. This is a team that has struggled to score at times in recent years. That's when they've struggled. That's been what it's kind of been the cause of it. And they shot 36% on Sunday, 5 for 19 in the fourth quarter, even as they were trying to make that comeback. But the defense is always strong, so if they can score consistently, this is a team that can win the conference championship in Conference Carolinas. They won the tournament a year ago trying to back that up with a regular season title potentially this year. They were picked to win the league, and especially a key card for them. Will be back shortly from the ACL she suffered in late February, early March of last season. So that's kind of a quick glance at local basketball that's happened in the last few days. In football, of course, the high school football season locally didn't get out of the first round of the state playoffs. Robeson County had 3 playoff teams. They all were defeated in that first round, but that gave us the chance at the Robesonian to do the all-county football team and awards over Thanksgiving. To quickly go over these, and you can read more about it at Robesonian.com and then this past Saturday's print edition of the Robesonian. But Chris Bryant, St. Paul's linebacker, defensive back, and also wide receiver, was named Robeson County Heisman, primarily for his efforts on defense. 103 tackles, 60 of those were solo, 25 tackles for loss, which from his spot on the field is a pretty eye-popping number. 6 pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions, and also blocked a couple of kicks. A guy that's really physical, has great field vision, has a high motor and a high football IQ, and that you put all that together, and that is a terrific combination. This is a guy that's going to play at the next level. And on offense, caught 2 passes this year. That was down from previous years, but teams remembered his offensive impact from the past, both at Red Springs as a freshman and sophomore, and then St. Paul's as a junior. And so he was able to kind of be a decoy offensively, and just his presence on the field on that side of the ball when he did get into play offense provided a decoy for St. Paul's offense. And speaking of St. Paul's offense, Theophilus Setzer was named Offensive Player of the Year for Robeson County after throwing for over 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns, and also rushing for 442 yards and 2 scores. Dual threat quarterback leading St. Paul's quite well. Their Defensive Player of the Year was Fairmont linebacker Jaleel Brown, who had 118 tackles. 79 of those were solo tackles, 33 tackles for loss. Very strong linebacker for Fairmont. The Underclassman of the Year was Red Springs wideout T.J. Ellerby, who had 36 receptions for 746 yards, 8 touchdowns. Also had some rushing attempts and a couple scores. A good defensive back with 3 interceptions, and then a key kick returner as well for Red Springs. So somebody the Red Devils and their fans can look forward to for the next couple of years. And then the County Coach of the Year was Josh Deese at Purnell Sweat, who led his team to a 5-win season after the Rams had won 5 games combined the previous 4 years. This was his first year as the head coach. He led them to the team's first playoff appearance since 2017. And, in fact, the interim tag they had placed on him, as it was kind of a 1-year thing as the head coach. That interim tag was removed this week by Purnell Sweat administration, and Josh Deese will be the head coach moving forward for Purnell Sweat. So you can read about that specifically as well, a little bit more recent, in fact, on Robesonian.com and in Wednesday's print edition. Just getting started here on the Robesonian Sports Report. Coming up, we'll have a conversation with St. Paul's girls basketball coach Jaymar Thompson. This is the Robesonian Sports Report on WAGR. Back on the Robesonian Sports Report here on WAGR, and we're joined over the phone by St. Paul's girls basketball coach Jaymar Thompson. How's it going, Coach?
Doing pretty good. How you doing?
Pretty good. And 4 games in for you guys as the new season gets underway. So, first of all, how would you kind of assess where you guys are at so far?
My girls are buying into the process. We're a young group. We do have a veteran leader in DeShante, but so far we're looking pretty good. We got to clean up some stuff, and I think we're gonna be all right in the long run.
Yeah, and you mentioned DeShante Harris. What's her role like for this team as kind of that star senior player at the guard position?
She's our go-to, of course. This year, I'm actually more of a leader instead of her. The talent is there, so I'm asking her to be more of a leader to kind of step in that role I had Jakaya playing, the last couple of years. So it's a big role for her, and she's stepping up to the challenge so far. She's bringing the younger group up along with them while still, maintaining her status. So it's working out pretty good so far.
Yep. And I think a lot of people probably looked at this team coming off of last year with Jakiah Thompson leaving, and even going further back, some of the core from the regional finalists leaving as well through graduation, and probably thought, okay, they're not going to be quite as good this year. But you've got some reinforcements coming in the likes of Zariana Shipman, a Whiteville transfer, as well as a freshman in Ava Monroe, and anybody I might be leaving out too. So how big are those emerging players for you guys as you're looking to have some more success this season?
Well, the thing is teaching them our way. They're stepping into a winning program, so it's more of getting them accustomed to our way of thinking and our way of playing. But those two ladies that you just spoke of, they are really accepting the challenge. So it's been pretty fun. It's a learning process every game. Every game you're getting something different. But like I said, they're a talented young lady, so sometimes you just got to let the talent just roll and just kind of mold them a little bit. Just take them under your wing and just, because Zaria is a true point guard, and just letting her see it, the way we want to run things and the way she needs to orchestrate things it's been fun for me as well. So she's a real good talent, and Ava, she's a freshman, so she's just raw, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like a clean slate with her. So I'm just able to really teach those two. But the rest of the girls are coming along as well. So it's been a fun role. I had to change my way of coaching a little bit. It's more of a teaching and training type deal than just running out plays. So it's been a real, so far it's been fun. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I ain't had to do it in a while. So it's been kind of fun. Yeah, so.
And once you get into conference play, there's going to be some really talented post players that you're going to be going up against. What's that situation look like on y'all's roster?
Well, we have our post, Zakoria Davis. She's a strong post. She does everything I need her to do. We're working on her finishing, of course, but on the defensive side, she's been anchoring us down really good. So she's a big body. We're hoping to get Jada McKinnon back. She's going to be a great help coming off an ACL injury. And then we have another freshman along. Her name is Haley. So Haley is coming along real good. So I think we should be all right. I look at it, too. We're strong on the guard situation. So, you're going to have to give up a little bit, in this league. So hopefully we'll be all right with the post. I just need them to do their part. So far they've been handling the task.
And what is the potential for this team?
Once we start rolling, I think you'll see the glimpses and like I said, the goals remain the same. So I'm not dropping those down no matter what. But I think we should make a good, strong playoff run again. Once we start rolling and get more games on our belt, and our defense start really clicking like it should, I think we should be looking like the St. Paul's of the old still. Just a little younger, but we should be all right. Yeah, we should be really good.
Here on the Robesonian Sports Report on WAGR, I'm your host, Chris Stiles, and we're with Jaymar Thompson, the head girls basketball coach at St. Paul's. And we mentioned Jakiah Thompson graduating from St. Paul's. What was it like, that experience of coaching your daughter? And then now you've called it life without Jakiah. What's that adjustment been without her on the floor for you anymore?
It's a big adjustment. Like I said, having her was like having an assistant coach. We went home, we talked basketball a little bit. She knew what I expect. She asked me questions, So it's a big adjustment because she's just a natural leader. She expected a lot from the players, and she was able to get a lot out of the players regardless. So it was, that's something it's hard to feel that. But we're trying. We're going to do it by committee. That one person brought, we're going to try to get it out of a couple of players. I'm not expecting all that from one kid, because that's what Jakiah did while she was here is not really normal. And we got to recognize that it's not really normal. So to expect another child to come here and average stuff, and play like she did, that's putting too much pressure on that kid. So what we're doing now is really just doing it by committee. and I'm asking a little bit from everyone, so they help bring along, everybody else. So yeah, but she's missed. Believe that. She's missed. Ain't nothing like a true leader. It's hard to, you can get talent from anywhere. You can find some talent, but it's hard to find that talented kid that can also lead like she does. So I have to give her credit now. She's gonna be missed. She is missed. 4 games in.
And Jakaya is currently at North Carolina A&T State University in Greensboro. So, what's her experience been like so far in that program?
She loves it. She has a little injury going on. She's going to redshirt this year. So, but so far, man, she's enjoying her time. She just got back from California. So it's she's a college kid now. At first, I was worried about it, but she got over that real quick when the team got up there with her, and man, they've been embracing her like no other. So I think she's satisfied with her choice. So she's fitting in real well. Plus her buddies up there, so
Yeah.
She got the whole team up there pretty much now that Moses up there with her.
Yeah, speaking of Mike Moses, of course he was the head coach at St. Paul's for Jakaya's first 3 years in high school. You were an assistant on that staff. What did you learn from Mike about being a head coach?
He has taught me a lot. Mike, I could have made a better choice for Jakaya. He's really for the kids. He laid out what his goals was before we got here, and he stamped every last one of them, But my experience with him, man, I learned a lot. I thought you could just step out like rec, like rec basketball and just coach. Man, he took no shortcuts. And when I say no shortcuts, he still went to games, did his scouts, got film. He sometimes got on my nerves. Like, he would call me 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I think I got the game plan for Whiteville. You know what I'm saying? Or it didn't matter. It was like, man, I was like, man, do you do anything else? But he really showed a lot in preparation of each game, and he didn't take no games for granted. I don't care if we beat him by 60 the last time. He still did his due diligence to every team he played against and every time we played. So I learned a lot, not taking nobody for granted and not taking nothing for granted and just preparing. And he still one phone call away. I still call him now, like, hey, what you think about this? Or how you think we should approach this? Because, he's deserving everything he gets, So I salute him. He's not normal. He's one of those not normal coaches. He really takes pride in what he do. Like I said, he's got his own way of coaching, and a lot of people don't like it. You know what I'm saying? But he's a real competitor, and he's a really good guy. And like I said, he taught me a lot about preparing and scouting and, training the girls and, adjusting to every team you coach, because every team you coach is not the same. So, yeah, I have learned a lot from Mike, and I appreciate everything about him.
And the Robeson County Shootout coming up here in about 3 weeks. You guys will be one of the favorites, I would imagine, going into that. What's kind of you guys' outlook? And I will stress we don't know the matchups just yet, but what's you guys' outlook going into that event?
That's one of our goals, to be honest. And one of our goals is to win the Robeson County Shootout. It's a hump that we haven't been able to get over the last, 2 or 3 years. So we approaching it with as one of our first goals. And, so we're trying to approach this thing like a playoff-type atmosphere, trying to prepare my young girls for the playoffs. So we really going into it, trying to get that experience and also trying to bring home the trophy. So I'm not selling it short. I'm not, we got a really good team, and we should be on that be in that championship game, hopefully. So to me, it's more preparing for the playoffs and everything and getting us ready for the conference as well. So I try to approach every game like a championship, to be honest. And like I said, we got this new group. They ain't never played in nothing like this, so it's going to be good for them as well, and good for everybody to see what we have, currently here at St. Paul's High School.
You guys shared the regular season conference title with Fairmont last year. Both were 11-1 in the conference. The losses were to each other. How has that series with Fairmont kind of evolved over your 5 years on the staff from when you started? They were kind of at the bottom of the league, and then they've grown each year to now being right there with you guys.
Trying to make sure I say this right. The series, if I speak on that, they're coming. They're headed in the right direction. Not taking out from nobody. I mean, I love Fairmont. I love Coach Marcus. Been knowing him about his whole life. He's doing a heck of a good job at Fairmont. I love playing games like that. The Fairmont, the meaningful games. We played so many games that in the conference, other than East Bladen, that we just knew we were going to blow everybody out. So to see that in the same county, I love it. I love it. But we have to be honest, Chris. we only lost to it once in the last 4 years.
Right.
So it's an up and coming series to me. I love the challenge though. Not like I said, not taking nothing from Fairmont, but I love the challenge, and I love what Marcus is doing because I think right now they're 3-0. So he's changed the atmosphere over there at Fairmont.
Jaymar Thompson, thanks for joining us here on the Robesonian Sports Report.
All right, thank you.
And we'll And back on the Robesonian Sports Report here on WAGR, and going to use the last segment of the show to do what we did a couple weeks ago with high school boys basketball and previewing that. Now we're going to do that with high school girls basketball here locally. So, and just going through these in alphabetical order, just kind of scratching the surface, a brief glance on each team. And we'll start with Fairmont, a 24-win team from a year ago that shared the Southeastern Athletic Conference title with St. Paul's, as we just mentioned with Coach Thompson from St. Paul's. Fairmont's improved each season under Marcus Thompson and reached the third round of the state playoffs last year. A senior core for them from last year, 3 very talented seniors graduated, but 2 talented sets of sisters are returning, and all these are juniors except for one. Tanaya Sims, who's a 2-time county underclassman of the year, averaged a double-double last year. Her sister, Myasia, they bring the size and physicality in the front court. Naya and Maya Smith, twins in the backcourt, bring a lot of energy for the Golden Tornadoes. Some other key returners contributing. Only 2 new players, in fact, on the varsity roster, a couple of freshmen. Marcus Thompson wants his team to play consistently, says if they do that, they'll accomplish plenty. And they're 3-0 to start the season, wins over Lumberton 71st and CB Aycock. The 71st win was their 20th straight at home. Lumberton is coming off an 8-14 season a year ago, and it's a young group, just 5 returning varsity players. But Coach Ivy Johnson believes it's a team of hard workers, and they can achieve growth through that hard work throughout the season. Junior guard Gabby Locklear averaged 11 points per game a year ago. She'll be leading that team. A couple returners in the backcourt, Briandria Glover, Charlie Whitley. In the front court, Florence Ferguson and Andrea Brown, who was very strong in the opener against Fairmont. Some all-county athletes from other sports, Alana Hanna, Lyra Smith, making their varsity debuts. They could potentially make an impact as well for Lumberton. Pirates are 0-1 after a competitive loss to Fairmont in the opener. They'll play the Tornadoes again on Friday down in Fairmont. Purnell Sweat won 24 games a year ago, 13-2 in the conference, and reached the third round of the state playoffs. That was the senior season for 3 players that are all playing college basketball now, including Division I point guard Kylie Chavis. Now a new coach in Robert McLean, a primarily new-look roster as well. Do have some returning pieces, guards Bree Brewington, Alexis Locklear, Jada Dial, and then center Nia Locklear, who nearly averaged a double-double a year ago. Some newcomers in guard Cameron Locklear, guard Josie McLean, and Tara Bullard out on the wing. They'll contribute. Coach McLean's goal here is simply growth. It's a young team, an inexperienced team. They lost on Tuesday night to a very good Hoggard team, a loss that Purnell Sweat simply hopes to learn from moving forward. Here on the Robesonian Sports Report on WAGR, I'm your host, Chris Stiles, as we're looking at local high school girls basketball teams and kind of a preview in progress, if you will. all the teams have started play, but kind of looking at it from a preview perspective. And Red Springs is coming off its best season in quite a while. It was the Red Devils were 13-14 a year ago, but that's far better than what they've been in previous seasons. That was Tanisha MacArthur's first season leading the team, so they took a pretty big step forward, looking to take another step forward this season. Monica Washington is really a force inside for this team. She averaged 15 points and 15 rebounds a season ago with a couple of 30-rebound games. And other key returners, Riley Sampson, Nakira Hunt, Adriana Locklear, a couple newcomers to watch here, Leangelo Cobb and Jurlise Trochez. Unfortunately for the Red Devils, they're off to an 0-4 start. It's been kind of a struggle, albeit against tough competition. In fact, I think every school they've played is either 3A or 4A, and a couple of them had really good seasons last year. So growing pains for Red Springs as they kind of work their way into the season against that tougher competition. Last but not least, St. Paul's won 20 games a year ago and shared the Southeastern Athletic Conference title with Fairmont. They reached the third round of the playoffs as well. And this has been a really consistent Bulldogs program over the last 4 years. All four of those teams were led by point guard Jakaya Thompson, as we discussed with Coach Jaymar Thompson. She's now playing Division I basketball. So they're moving on without Jakaya. Deshaunte Harris, who scored 22 points a game with 3 assists a game last year, she'll be key from a leadership role and certainly from a scoring role for St. Paul's. Zalea Gardner returns to the team after missing her junior season, and then the incoming transfer, Zayana Shipman, has had a really strong start to the season, as has freshman Ava Monroe for this team. Zachariah Davis with 8 rebounds per game a year ago on the inside, and then Zakendra Cox on the wing. They'll be key players as well for St. Paul's. As Coach Thompson said a moment ago, their goals haven't changed. He told me that a couple weeks ago when I did a preview story in the paper, and he mentioned that a moment ago. They're trying to win the shootout. They're trying to win the conference championship and make a run in the state playoffs. And the Bulldogs are off to a 3-1 start this season. They've blown out Douglas Byrd twice, as well as a win over Broughton by about 20 points, I believe it was. They did lose at Seaforth. That was a rematch of the third-round playoff game that they lost last year. That's one of those early season games that wasn't particularly close, but they'll be looking to learn from and build from that. And you can read about all these games as they're going on in the game of basketball throughout the winter, of course, in the print edition of the Robesonian and at Robesonian.com. I mentioned the all-county football team as well. I have to go back a few days now to find that. That was in Saturday's paper, but it's on the web as well. Story on Josh Deese becoming the permanent head coach at Purnell Sweat. And we'll have coverage of Lumberton and Fairmont boys and girls both on Friday night as those rivals meet yet again on the hardwood down in Fairmont. So, for Paul Matthews behind the scenes, I'm Chris Stiles, sports editor at the Robesonian. Thanks to Jaymar Thompson for joining us a bit ago, and thanks to you for joining us as well here on the Robesonian Sports Report on WAGR.